Do the Right Thing is a neighborhood drama directed by Spike Lee joint. With themes of love, hate, and surviving a struggle or predicament, it tells a story of the varied community interactions, including racial tensions, on a hot summer day in the predominantly black neighborhood of Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, New York. Following the life of Mookie, we see a young African American man who works as a delivery man at the local pizza store, Sal's famous pizzeria. Here works Italian American owner Sal and his two sons Pino and Vito. In the neighborhood, there are various individuals whose backgrounds vary from African American to Puerto Rican American and to Korean American. There's Mookie's partner Tina and their son Hector and his mother-in-law Bugging Out, his b-boy and outspoken friend. The elderly community-minded man is known as the mayor. Mother sister, the elderly woman overlooking the neighborhood also. The three men relaxing outside in the sun by the footpath. The family at the local grocery store. Radio Raheem, who proudly walks the streets pumping Fight the Power by band's Public Enemy. And Smiley, a mentally disabled man who goes around the neighborhood trying to sell pictures of Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. And various other characters in the film, which all happen to cross paths with another as the story unfolds. In discussing Do the Right Thing, looking to the character of Mookie, we see a young man who wants to be able to provide and support his family, with his partner Tina and recently born child Hector. He enjoys the community interactions, including his various friends and acquaintances, and as the story progresses, we see how his work life at Sal's famous pizzeria is intertwined with his personal life as he continues to make deliveries as his job entails. His interactions include to see his girlfriend and son, or his brotherly ways towards protecting his sister Jade, to finding himself being somewhat of a mediator between members of the community, such as with friend Bugging Out and the establishment he works for instance. With the example of his protectiveness of his sister Jade, after conversing with her, with his sister about her staying away from the store, he goes to confront Sal to let him know he is not accepting of his seemingly inviting attitude towards his sister. Towards the end of the film, after the violent incident at the pizzeria, Mookie goes to the length of throwing a garbage bin through the window of the pizzeria, seeking justice, also to keep the crowd away from him and the others when the situation was starting to become intense. And seeing he is also owed money for his work he was doing and wanted to be paid for. With the characters of Sal's family, we see a proud father of two older sons who are both trying to come to grips with the fact that they work in a black neighborhood. One son, Pino, feels it's difficult simply being in this neighborhood because of his background, and seeing his friends from his home, similarly white neighborhood, make fun of him because he's going off to work in the black neighborhood like it's some sort of running joke that he has characteristics similar to them. While the other brother, Vito, is somewhat of a friend to Mookie and is more accepting, which often leads to the siblings fighting or arguing with each other over this issue, with one brother a racist and the other as a more accepting brother. The father Sal would like it if they could all get along. However, when push comes to shove and a fight erupts in the store, when two customers aren't happy, Sal's true feelings are expressed as he begins saying all sorts of profanities including racial slurs. Looking at the character of Bugging Out and Radio Raheem, we see two individuals in the neighborhood who find they have something in common, as Bugging Out believes that he should see justice for the fact Sal won't put any brothers up on the wall in the store when there's only Italian Americans, when the black community are always in the pizzeria, while Radio Raheem is bothered because Sal asked him to turn down his radio when he went in to get some pizza. Their common interest in wanting to see some sort of justice led to an altercation, which led to the police being called in, which after restraining Radio Raheem intensely, they hold him to the point where he chokes and ultimately dies on the sidewalk, much to the shock and anger of the neighborhood community. This leads to the store being almost burnt to the ground in retaliation and for those seeking some sort of justice. Leading up to this incident, the brother Pino complains to his dad Sal that, "See, I told you so," in regards to this neighborhood being unusual and unsuitable to work in. With the character of Demare, we see someone who, though is often drunk, prides himself on looking out for the community where he can. From advising young kids and adults about taking the right productive, positive steps in life, to saving a kid's life crossing the road, to condemning those young adults who are judging him for the difficult position he finds himself in life. Though he's struggling to find work, he continues somewhat patrolling the neighborhood purposefully, doing what's possible for others in the community. Mother sister, though she feels a bit untrustworthy of Demare, she relates to him as she's often seen overlooking the neighborhood too and speaking out where she can. so their bond continues as their common interests grow and cross paths. With the character of Mookie's partner Tina, we see a young woman who expresses the frustration she feels when a man is not taking on the responsibilities in his life, such as being there for her and their son, and providing for them. Though Mookie does his job to the best of his ability, it's explained by his sister that he's gone from job to job, which has caused various issues in his life. However, with the ongoing predicament of having to work for someone else with somewhat compromised values, where he feels he should find something where he works independently, we see that the complications of a workplace with constant racial tensions and undertones, overtones, and expressions makes it difficult to be the man he is to himself, family, and community. After the police brutality, it becomes questionable altogether whether working there is the right thing to do at all, especially given the violent eruption that followed after tempers flared in the community and eventually bubbled over into violence. In Do the Right Thing, we see into a world where a diverse community of individuals are crossing paths on a hot day, where racial tensions can often lead to confrontations and tempered violence, especially with ongoing injustice or lack of opportunities for an ideal life in the wider community. I invite you to comment whether you agree or not, or if you have any different takes on this film or its various elements. Thanks for watching.